I am Dr. Carey. I am a pediatrician in Ventura, California, and we are talking baby care. Today I'd like to introduce two guests who have both had the experience of being a Mr. Mom in their respective households. Mike with his son Aaron, and Carl with his twins Phoebe and Max. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a big undertaking to take, to be the primary father who stays at home while mom is off working.
Yeah.
And I imagine a lot of discussions came about too before that led up to that situation. Mike, do you want to share with us how that decision was made?
One Sunday over breakfast, we sat down and just our circumstances were such that it just made sense. Professionally, in our career, in terms of our personal interests, it made sense for us to do this. So it was actually pretty quick. We just realized that this worked for us and we decided we were going to do it. And then the long process came of working out all the details of how to make it work.
Carl, how about you?
When the twins came early, then we definitely needed somebody home right away, and just with where the circumstances were at the time, I was the one, it just was the most logical for me to stay home.
What do you think was going to be the stumbling block?
Wow. For me, I'm the last of 6 children. So I was the one that was always taken care of by everybody else. So for me, it was just like, I don't know anything about kids and babies. You know, can I do this? I don't know what to do, but it's the logical thing, you know? So that was the thing for me. I just didn't know. Just the fear of the unknown, I think, was the thing that was for me. Just the unknowing was the hard part, you know?
How about for you?
What I thought was going to be the hardest part and what actually became the hardest part were two different things. Again, for me, there were a lot of unknowns, so I suspected that the most difficult thing was just going to be knowing what to do. You know, the facts, the information about napping and feeding and, you know, all these different things. Those were challenging, but it turned out that they were pretty solvable. You can figure all that stuff out. You can find it out. Not as much of a difficulty as I thought. The real challenge that took me off guard, and I think it's common between the two of us, was the isolation that was part of the experience, which I wasn't really prepared for.
Right.
How isolating an experience it can be.
We didn't have a lot of friends, so it was just me and the kids. You know, I tried some mommy and me groups, which I was there, you know, there were only one dad, it was me, and after a few of those, it just didn't work out. I just wasn't real comfortable at the time. So there definitely a lot of isolation in the beginning while they were very young, yeah.
Did you participate in any mommy and me groups?
Yeah, that's things like that were eventually what helped solve that problem and present some solutions. But you know, it just gets back to
What do you mean help present some solutions?
Well, early on when my son was still an infant and this was still a brand new experience, it was difficult to get a support structure. As soon as I started getting into some organized activities, you know, the mommy and me classes or the gym classes and things like that, all of a sudden it placed the moms and me on a more level playing field, a more secure playing field. So building relationships and getting to know them, which would then extend to the park dates and the play dates and things like that, made that a little bit easier. That's how those classes actually helped me get through that transition and build support, find friends.
For the parents I talk to, when the dad is coming home at 5 or 6 o'clock, I always envision mom at home thinking break, 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 break.
Right.
And dad's on his way home from work thinking break, 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 break.
Right.
And then dad and the two are finally at home, and the break for the one who is taking care of the parent never really materializes. They don't get that rest they're looking for, and that builds up in a lot of tension down the road between the two. Was that an issue at all from the other side, for mom working all the time and both of you taking care of children? Carl?
Yeah, I don't think it was really. I didn't mind it, you know, because first of all, you know, the most important thing is your family and taking care of your kids, but I also viewed it as my job. This is my job, and I'm going to do it the best that I can. So when my wife would come home, I knew she needed a break. But at the same sense, when you have small children, you want to see those kids. So she would want to pick up the kids and stuff like that. So even though then I was on to making dinner and I didn't get a break yet, there's just a small break, but you just, you know, you have to do what you feel is the best for the family, and you always have to keep that in mind.
There may be something to the dynamic of that, of the the role reversal.
Right.
That for my wife, you know, there's still a lot of motherly instincts that are there, and she's away from her child all day. So when she came back, you know, it was a really desire just to engage with us and engage with him and spend time with him. You know, and from my perspective, I was really happy to have this experience, so I wasn't all that eager to disengage. And there was still a lot to be done, so if I was going to have some time, I would rather place it someplace else, so I wasn't really ready to shut down right at that moment. So it may be more unique to a traditional setup, whereas when you have a role reversal, it's less of an issue. The only resistance and friction that I found was probably more from older generations. So, you know, parents and some relatives who are probably a little bit more rooted in a more traditional arrangement.
My dad would just, you know, kind of, you know, throw those little jokes in there like, well, when you're the housewife, you have to do those kind of things. And,
Right.
and so you could see, yeah, you know, the divide with the age, you know, but everybody else, like friends, like you would, male friends would say, oh, I want to do that. You know, that's the best thing in the world. So not work and stay at home with your kids, you know.
You definitely serve as an advocate for it. Once it's known in your social circles, you have a lot of questions.
Right, but then, you know, the funny thing is I would always say, well, yeah, it is the best thing in the world, but it's also the hardest job you'll ever have.
Do it for the right reasons.
Right.
There are a lot of misconceptions, even among other dads, that see it as attractive. I thought that some of the boundaries to being a stay-at-home dad would be much clearer and more distinct and sharper, but they really blend in. Being a stay-at-home dad is more of a series of transitions from one phase to the next rather than having a beginning and an end. And what happened for me, I have gone back to work, but I didn't go back to the same things that I was doing before. I'm in the same profession, but I'm working more limited hours. I'm working remotely, which is a luxury that I enjoy, and with a lot of flexibility because the stay-at-home dad role just transitioned into a primary caregiver.
Every year it seems like, oh, you know, that's going to be the year I'm going to start doing something. I'm going back to work, and then you realize how much time is still needed to be at home. You know, my kids are 12, they're middle school, but as soon as they're out of school, I'm busy from 3 o'clock until 7 o'clock. You know, so you've got to be able to work from home or, you know, have some sort of a part-time job if you were still the primary caregiver.
It sounds like the biggest points are finding a good support system to help you,
Yes.
Yeah.
and don't be surprised by the fact that you might have some self-doubts and that there is a little feeling of loneliness at first, but then it's all positive in the end. It sounds as if it's that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much. I want to thank my guests for sharing their experience with us. I am Dr. Carey, and I thank you for watching. For more baby care education and to sign up for our free newsletter, please visit us at drcareys.com. And remember, at Dr. Carey's, we teach baby care.
Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Okay. Let me see your ear.